If your brain suddenly brings back an embarrassing moment from years ago and makes you relive it like it just happened, there is a reason. Your mind is not trying to humiliate you. It is trying to protect you from repeating a mistake it believes could damage your social survival. Almost everyone has experienced this strange mental phenomenon. You might be washing dishes, driving, or lying in bed late at night when suddenly a memory appears out of nowhere. It could be something awkward you said years ago, a mistake you made in public, or a moment when you felt embarrassed in front of other people. The memory does not appear gently. It arrives vividly, almost like your brain is replaying a scene from a movie. Your body reacts instantly. Your chest tightens. Your face warms. You feel the same embarrassment again, even though the event happened long ago. And then your mind starts analyzing the moment. You replay what you said. You imagine how other people might have interpreted it. You wonder if they judged you or laughed about it later. For a few seconds or even minutes, the past becomes emotionally real again. Many people assume this means something is wrong with their mind. But the truth is that this strange mental replay has a purpose. Your brain evolved to learn from social mistakes. Human beings are deeply social creatures. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging to a group. Being accepted by others meant protection, cooperation, and shared resources. Being rejected by the group could be dangerous. Your brain understands this on a very deep level. Because of this, the mind treats social mistakes as important learning opportunities. When something embarrassing happens, the brain stores that event carefully so it can analyze it later. This analysis is meant to help you avoid repeating the same mistake. From the brain's perspective, replaying the moment is a form of training. It is asking a simple question. What can we learn from this so it does not happen again? In ancient environments, this ability was extremely useful. If someone accidentally offended a member of their tribe or violated a social rule, it could damage their place within the group. Remembering that moment helped the brain update its behavior. The mind became better at navigating social situations. But in the modern world, this mechanism often goes too far. Instead of learning from the experience once and moving on, the brain continues replaying the moment again and again. This happens because of something psychologists call the negativity bias. Your brain gives far more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. If you receive 10 compliments and 1 criticism, the criticism will usually dominate your thoughts. This bias evolved for survival. Missing positive opportunities rarely had severe consequences, but ignoring potential threats could be dangerous. As a result, the brain developed a strong sensitivity to negative events. Embarrassing moments fall directly into this category. They trigger the brain's threat detection system because they involve social judgment. When the mind senses possible social rejection, it marks the memory as important. That is why embarrassing memories tend to feel stronger and more vivid than ordinary experiences. Another reason these memories replay so intensely is that the brain does not clearly distinguish between past and present emotions. When you recall a vivid memory, your brain can react as if the situation is happening again. The same emotional circuits activate. Your body responds with the same sensations you felt during the original moment. This is why remembering an embarrassing event can still cause your stomach to tighten, or your face to flush years later. The brain is recreating the emotional experience. But there is another layer to this process that makes these memories even more persistent. Your brain is a prediction machine. Its main job is to anticipate future situations so you can respond effectively. When the mind remembers an embarrassing moment, it begins imagining future scenarios where something similar might happen again. The brain starts preparing. It analyzes what you should have said differently. It rehearses better responses. It tries to rewrite the past so that you are better prepared for the future. This is why embarrassing memories often trigger mental simulations. You might imagine how you could have responded more confidently, or how you could have avoided the mistake entirely. The brain believes this rehearsal will make you safer next time. Unfortunately, this process often becomes excessive. Instead of learning from the experience and letting it go, the mind becomes trapped in a loop of analysis. You replay the moment again and again, searching for a perfect explanation or a better outcome that cannot actually change the past. At that point, the memory stops being useful. It becomes rumination. Rumination is the tendency to repeatedly think about the same event without reaching a clear resolution. When the brain enters this state, the memory no longer helps you grow. It simply drains mental energy. Why does the mind sometimes get stuck in this loop? One reason is uncertainty. If your brain cannot clearly understand what happened or why it happened, it keeps revisiting the memory in an attempt to solve the puzzle. It asks questions like these. Did I say something wrong? Did they notice how awkward that was? What do they think about me now? These questions rarely produce clear answers, but the brain continues searching. This search keeps the memory alive. Another powerful reason embarrassing memories replay is the human desire to maintain a positive identity. Most people carry an internal image of who they believe they are. Perhaps you see yourself as thoughtful, capable, or socially aware. When an embarrassing moment contradicts that image, it creates psychological tension. Your brain tries to reconcile the difference. The mind wants to understand how the mistake happened so it can restore the sense of identity. Until the brain feels satisfied with the explanation, the memory may continue appearing. Interestingly, these mental replays often exaggerate how much other people actually notice the event. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect describes the tendency to believe that other people are paying far more attention to you than they actually are. When something embarrassing happens, it can feel as if everyone in the room noticed. But in reality, most people are focused on themselves. They are thinking about their own concerns, their own mistakes, and their own social image. What feels like a defining moment for you may have been forgotten by everyone else within minutes. Yet your brain continues replaying the event as if it were a major social failure. This happens because the mind is not evaluating the situation objectively. It is responding to emotional signals. Embarrassment is a powerful emotion. It evolved as a signal that helps maintain social harmony. Feeling embarrassed motivates you to correct mistakes and behave in ways that maintain group acceptance. In moderate amounts, embarrassment is actually useful. It helps people develop empathy and awareness of social norms. But when the brain holds on to embarrassment for too long, the emotion becomes unproductive. Instead of guiding future behavior, it begins interfering with confidence and self-perception. The key shift happens when you start recognizing how the brain processes these memories. An embarrassing thought appearing in your mind does not mean the event is still important. It simply means your brain flagged it as a social learning experience. Thoughts themselves are not commands or judgments. They are mental events generated by your brain. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts every day automatically. Most of them pass by unnoticed. But when a thought triggers strong emotion, the brain attaches meaning to it. You begin analyzing it. That analysis feeds the mental loop. The more attention you give the memory, the more your brain believes it is significant, and the more often it will return. Breaking this cycle does not require forcing the memory away. Trying to suppress a thought usually strengthens it. The brain interprets suppression as a signal that the thought is important. Instead, the more effective approach is simple awareness. When the memory appears, notice it without immediately following the story your mind begins creating. Recognize what is happening. Your brain is replaying an old moment because it believes it is protecting you. But protection is not always necessary. Sometimes the mind simply needs reassurance that the past is finished. Another helpful realization is that personal growth naturally reduces the emotional intensity of old memories. The person you were when the embarrassing moment happened is not the same person you are today. Your experiences, understanding, and confidence have changed. When the brain replays an old memory, it often evaluates it through the lens of your current identity. You see the mistake clearly now because you have grown beyond it. In a strange way, the embarrassment is evidence of progress. It means you have developed more awareness. The moment that once felt humiliating may actually represent a stage of learning. This perspective gradually weakens the emotional power of the memory. Your brain begins understanding that the event no longer requires analysis. The lesson has already been absorbed. Over time, the memory appears less frequently. When it does appear, it carries less emotional charge. Instead of triggering shame, it becomes just another story from your past. And eventually, many of these moments fade completely. Not because the brain erased them, but because the mind no longer sees them as important. The brain moves its attention to experiences that matter more in the present. What once felt like a painful memory becomes something distant and almost irrelevant. Understanding this process can change how you respond when embarrassing memories appear. Instead of feeling trapped in the replay, you can recognize what your brain is doing. It is running an old program designed to protect your place within a social group. But you are no longer living in the same context where that moment mattered. The past does not need constant correction. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply letting the memory exist without judgment. When you stop fighting the thought and stop feeding the analysis, the brain gradually learns that the memory is no longer necessary. And as that happens, the mind finally releases its grip on the moment. The replay ends, and the past quietly returns to where it belongs.